Great things to celebrate around trade and commerce, and we have a lot of exciting things to talk about here today. So without further ado, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce the president of our Harbor Board, Mr. Justin Rivera, for opening remarks.
You got that?
Anyway, thank you all for being here today, and it's a wonderful event, and we're very happy to welcome you here. I'd like to recognize my fellow commissioners, and I have Arlene Frazier here, our Secretary of the Board. Arlene, please stand. Mary Ann Rooney, Commissioner. We also have Commissioner Emeritus Jesse Ramirez. Jesse. We also have some other dignitaries. We have our Supervisor of 5th District, John Saragosa. From the City of Hueneme, Jim Hensley. And we have from the Consulate of Mexico, Bernice Diaz Ceballos. And we also have the former Executive Director of the Port of Hueneme, Mr. Bill Bunker. And we have Brad Hudson with Julia Brownlee's office. And I would like to also announce that we have in-house John Belcher with the track tide and Marine. And also Jens from Crew Carriers. We have Sim also with Crew Carriers. And Kevin Byrne, I think the newest addition to the Pacific Maritime Association. You know, on May 15th, 2015, President Barack Obama proclaimed by executive order.
They're speaking, I get to introduce them. So don't forget about our excellent customers. Here we have Delmonte and Chiquita in the house also.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, on May 15th, 2015, President Barack Obama proclaimed by executive order, I do hereby proclaim May 17th to 23rd as World Trade Week. And I encourage all Americans, and I think he meant North and South Americans, to celebrate the benefits of trade to our nations. So today we proclaim the Port of Hueneme is open for business. And we are participating in the Department of Commerce initiative Looking South to our free trade partners in Latin America. By looking south and visiting our Latin American partners, we hope new opportunities will arise, and the Port of Hueneme will be their port of choice. Our premier Latin American customers are Del Monte Fresh Produce and Chiquita Fresh. Our other international premier customers are Wallenius Wilhelmsen Logistics, Yara, BMW, and Global Auto Processors. Together, our port customers move $8 billion in goods each year, ranking the Port of Hueneme as one of the 10 top seaports in autos and fresh produce in the United States. U.S. trade supports 11.7 million American jobs. Jobs with usually greater wages and benefits that can support working families. Locally, our port provides 10,000 trade-related jobs and $1.1 billion into our local economy. Port-related maritime services generate more than 69 million annual state and local taxes. Taxes which support vital community services. Opening doors to the Americas will not only support more jobs, but provide businesses with greater opportunities. In this new global economy, our prosperity will be dependent on the well-being of our trading partners. In Mexico, the government is spending $5 billion to improve its port network. As Ecuador's #1 trading partner, the United States is working to increase its $16 billion trade level. Wherever there are seaports, they are important. If U.S. seaports were to close for just 10 days, it would cost the economy of the United States $21 billion in just 10 days. Unfortunately, the public's attention is only focused on ports when there is a problem. But I want you to know that the Port of Hueneme has been, and always will be, a problem solver. This year, when other ports were suffering congestion problems, cargo diverted here was handled quickly and efficiently by our staff, stevedores, and longshore. Today, while our country is struggling to rebuild our nation's infrastructure, your Board of Harbor Commissioners and our staff is moving forward to create a strategic plan that will keep our port viable for years to come. World Trade Week is an opportunity to reflect on the importance of trade and to look forward to the opportunities and challenges of the future, which is something that we do here every day at the Port of Hueneme. I want to thank you all for your interest and for being here, and I hope you have a great participation in this event. Thank you. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, so sorry. Excuse me, I'd like to have my other commissioners come up, please. That's when you should have prompted me, Judge, right there. Arlene, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you everyone for being here today. During this past year, we've accomplished a lot with the design and construction and installation of a shore power system, and it has helped many of the refrigerated ships that come to the port. And we also are very using this great opportunity to increase import and export with the fresh food industry, and we're also looking at the short sea shipping in relationship to Mexico with the fresh fruit and the auto industry. And today you'll learn a lot and many more, and we really appreciate each of you being here and sharing your input and gaining a lot of knowledge. And thank you for being here today.
So we need to get rid of this microphone. So it was almost a year ago today where we were just returning from our trade mission to South America, where we visited Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. And frankly, I was so tired, I'm not sure what I said that day, but hopefully it was all good. But we are very excited to have you here today to learn more about what the Look South initiative is. Our trade mission really started after I had the opportunity to meet Secretary Penny Pritzker down in Los Angeles, where she announced the Look South initiative that day. And we went in to mobilize, to look at how can we develop more business here for the port, and how we can put our employees, our local employees, to work and to really impact our local economy. So that's why we're here today. I do want to say that while we were there in Ecuador last year, we did sign a port sister relationship with Puerto Bolivar. And it's a long-standing relationship that we have, and very honored to have that relationship with the port. And one of the interesting things that we got to do was to visit the plantation while we were down there at Port Del Monte. And literally, we could take our business card and put it in a box of bananas that arrived 2 weeks after we got home. So it transferred right there from the port, right here to Port Hueneme. So we are honored for our relationships that we have, and we are looking forward to doing much more with our partners as we look south. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so at this time I'm going to introduce our distinguished speakers today. We have Mr. Ignacio Sanchez Alcano Martinez, the Deputy Trade Commissioner of Mexico, with us today. We are doing a trade mission to Mexico in the fall, so we look very much forward to your remarks today and growing that opportunity with you. We have the Honorable Diego Jaramillo, Ecuadorian Consul General from Los Angeles, with us today. And as Commissioner Rooney noted, we have a sister port relationship in Ecuador and one of our largest trading partners in the port. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to your remarks. We have Professor Kurt Lesch with the California Lutheran University Assistant Professor of Economics School Management Program that's going to inform us all about the world economy and how it relates to trade and what's going on. Look forward to hearing from you. We have, we have the Mr. Richard Swanson with us from the U.S. Foreign Commercial Service Director, presenting the Export Achievement Award and updating us on what's going on with the U.S. Department of Commerce and the North South Initiative. So thank you. Our slogan here at the Port is "Our customers make us thrive." So we very much look forward to hearing from our South trading partners and Mr. Chuck Hawkins from Del Monte Fresh. And Carcano with Chiquita Fresh. Peel all together what's happening between the port and the county. We have Mr. Bruce Stenley with us, Executive Director from the Economic Development Collaborative in Ventura County, to educate us on what's going on in our local economy. We do this all by doing so. I'm missing the clicker. There it is, right on hand. So to get the show started, we thought we'd just very quickly share with you what's happening now at the port in terms of our performance. As Commissioner Ware noted, we are a $1.1 billion economic engine touching 10,200 jobs and brings 69 million local tax revenues to our community. Fourth largest employer in Ventura County, employing directly 2,400 people. So very important to the backbone of Ventura County. For those of you that might not be familiar with the types of commodities that transport through Port of Hueneme, we handle what's called general cargo. That's typically high and heavy cargo, big pieces of equipment, tractors, trailers, those sorts of things. We handle fertilizer, liquid products. We handle fruit, which is the purple line. We actually pull out the banana trade because it is so significant. 60% of the volume of product that comes through the port is bananas. So our Look South mission, it is very important to us. In fact, our number one import partner is the tropics in Ecuador. We also handle automobiles, pillar industry for us here, and if you flip this chart into revenue tons, actually it's the automobiles that are about 60% of port revenue. In terms of snapshot of cargo throughput, we're very pleased to report that the last 3 years have been really, really strong. We've seen growth in all sectors, and this year expect another benchmark year. We're forecasting close to, John, are you here? What's the number we're looking at in terms of cargo tonnage?
Right at about 1.5 million.
Yeah, a record year. So last year was 1.4, I think. So we're continuing to see real progress there. I'm very excited about the performance of trade. And again, it goes to the hard work of our customers and tenants here at the port that make us so productive. This is a snapshot of our auto business. You can see here we got hammered in 2009 during the recession. And if it's a testament of what's happening in the global economy, automobile business is often an indicator of how economy is performing. And clearly with this upward trajectory, we're seeing a stronger economy here in our country, as well as benchmark years for our port in terms of trade. Both the export business is growing and the import side is growing. This is a snapshot of our fruit tonnage, pretty inelastic to the economy. Folks will eat a banana in a good year, they'll eat a banana in a bad year. So it tends to be a very reliable and stable business for us, although we did realize about 2.3% growth this year, so that's actually a pretty significant number to see that sort of increase when it tends to be inelastic. This is our high and heavy rolling stock. Huge growth here, 66% this year. A lot of it goes to what Commissioner Herrera was saying. We really did divert a lot of cargo here during the congestion period up in the larger ports, so it really paid off for us in terms of bringing more throughput in various commodities to the port. And for those that are familiar with our overall portfolio, we also offload squid here in the port. We can handle as much as 40% of California squid, and then we also support the oil rigs, not in terms of bringing squid in for oil, but in terms of the equipment and repairs and work on those rigs. It's all done through the port of Hueneme. The The squid industry is struggling a little bit. I don't know if people have noticed the water's been a little bit warmer this year. There's been a lot of stranded seal pots. I think the squid industry is being impacted by that event. There's a lot going on in the world of trade, really fascinating times. And the question for us, what does that mean to the Port of Hueneme? You're seeing these huge shipping companies get married, so to speak. They're building these major alliances, and then they're putting cargo on these huge ships. 2 years ago, a large ship was 8,000 TEUs, we call it 20 equivalent units, which can hold 4,000 containers. Now they have on order ships that can hold 12,000 containers or 24,000 TEUs, and that's putting huge pressure on these larger ports. And then you couple that by the fact that these mega alliances, they're putting all the cargo together on these ships when they used to ship them independently. So now all this cargo is coming to the ports looking like an Easter basket. And so when you have these surge in freight and disorganized stowing, it becomes very complicated to offload cargo in these big ports, and they just don't have the infrastructure to handle it. So there's certain niches now that are really turning to us as part of solving and mitigating those congestion pressures in the larger ports. And I think we'll hear a lot about that here today and what those opportunities are and how we can take advantage of capturing more market share. So with that, it's time to turn the mic over to Chuck Hawkins with Monty to talk about their growth and what's going on with their company. Thank you.
Really honored to be asked to come here today and talk a little bit about the Del Monte's business and the we've had a long partnership with the port. We've been in Port Hueneme since 1979, and from only one 6-month period in the 1980s due to a weather situation with a blowdown in Ecuador, we've had Ecuador bananas arriving in Port Hueneme consistently on a weekly basis since then. So it's partnership with Ecuador goes back a long way, and I wanted to thank Diego personally for his efforts in helping us get recently we did an export of a lot of firefighting equipment that went to down to the area near Puerto Bolivar in Machala to some of the local fire companies who received surplus equipment that was retired by LA County, and it was the largest donation that they've ever done, and it was really, we were very fortunate that we were able to take part in that. But we also import, bananas is the big game in Port Hueneme, but we do have about 2,000 pallets a week of fresh pineapple that comes from Costa Rica, and also we have offshore melon season just concluded. We do honeydew, cantaloupe, and watermelons out of Guatemala and Costa Rica. So we have 5 vessels that work in this fleet in the trade lane here in Port Hueneme, and we call them 3 countries on a weekly basis. But by far the largest trading partner for Del Monte is Ecuador. Our vessels are constantly full when they depart from the department. We also have some export business, and it's interesting. I'll be curious to hear from the gentleman from CLU. You don't need to be an economist to see what happens in the world when things change. So we had export business that was around $2 million a week of roll-on, roll-off trucks that we put on our ships that we were sending to Ecuador to support the oil and gas industry down there. And a move by the Ecuadorian government to restructure the tariff on the importing of the cargo made that cargo no longer economically feasible for them to do the import, so that the business stopped. So you see that the interrelationship between countries is critical to be able to have trade going in each way. And I was discussing earlier about the offshore melon season and how when the tariff sunsets in May, so that the offshore melon season stops when the domestic season starts. So working hand in hand with countries to say, you produce when we can't grow in the United States, and we import melons from the tropics, and then when the domestic season starts, then we stop growing domestically. Obviously, in Arizona, it's a fascinating business. I've been doing it for a while, and it seems like every day you learn something new. And I don't want to take too much time, but I would like to just make note of National Maritime Day on the 22nd. And the port, for years, we've always kind of combined the National Maritime Day, and then on June 25th is the day of the seafarer. And just wanted to point out that all the cargo that comes in Port Hueneme on these ships have seafarers that work very hard to move, and that's their livelihood, and they're away from their families for 6 and 8 months at a time as they toil in the industry. So it's just another piece of the puzzle that people don't recognize, that you need to realize that what it takes to make the bananas move. It's quite an interesting study in itself. So thank you for coming, and I'm glad to be here, and can't wait to hear some more from your distinguished panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Actually, something else that's very interesting, you might hear this from our economists on the export side. I understand that the strengthening of the U.S. dollar does put some pressure on the export industry and might explain why some people are experiencing fewer exports. So, interesting to hear from you. So without further ado, Raquel Cano, please join us and make some remarks on behalf of
Well, good afternoon. I'm very glad I can represent the company this afternoon. Chiquita has been importing bananas to Wyoming for the last 10 years or so. 3 years ago, before 2012, we were a bulk operation of 180,000 boxes a week. In January 2012, we became containerized, and we increased in volume into 370,000 boxes a week. The main source of countries when we were bulk operation were Ecuador 80%, Guatemala 20%. Increasing our volume gave us the opportunity to also diversify in other countries where the company has not only farms but also buy from small growers. And now we are in a volume of 40% Ecuador, 30% Guatemala, and the rest is Mexico. We introduced Mexico into the West Coast a year ago, and we increased from 5% to 20% nowadays. That's on the northbound side. Also, because of the nature of our business, we bring bananas into the West Coast. We have to return containers to the tropics. We found some synergies that we can just export cargo down south. So in 1 year, from the last 12 months, we've increased our exports in 200%. Wow. We are the largest supplier for a Burger King franchise, so if you go to Guatemala, it's us. So we also had increased our exports in used cars, recycled papers, and plastic. Right now, Chiquita is, when we were bulk, we were the number 4 port out of the 5 ports Chiquita calls in the United States. We're number 4 in volume. Now we're in 2nd place, and the gap between 3rd and 2nd is being spaced out, and we're getting closer to being number 1. We see that in 2018 we can grow to be the number 1 port in the United States in volume, and we're looking forward to that. And not only there, but also, like I said, with the synergies that we have going down south, we can increase our exports. And it not only is just about business. We like Chuck would say, it's about jobs that we create in the city, that we create down south, and we bring healthy options for customers. So it's a combination that we all can be that. Thank you.
So based on the success of our customers, we're in the process of now rolling out our strategic 2020 plan to ensure that we continue to maximize the infrastructure that we have here to engage in trade opportunities. I just put this up to share with you because we also are soliciting input from our community stakeholders and industry stakeholders, and want to hear from you. And we're hoping to have a hearing on January 22nd. June. We're going to go January, jumping way ahead. June 22nd to solicit input from the community on our strategic planning process. And Donna, is she in the room? Donna's been spearheading that, so see her if you'd like to see a copy of our plan. So With that, I'm going to introduce Mr. Stensley up here, and he's going to tell us what's going on in Ventura County.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a little afraid to touch this microphone. Don't touch it. So I want to tell in 2 minutes a story of a little bit, mostly good news, and a little bit less good news, but mostly on the good side. So looking at the Ventura County economy since the bottom of the recession, for which Ventura County was in, I think, January or February 2010, we've gained about 11% of the jobs back, and we've had over 30,000 jobs coming back to the county. Very cool. National average since the bottom of the recession was about 8%, but California as a whole is at about 13.5%. So we have some room to improve. We have some real opportunity to grow. But where we're concerned is we look at each of the industry sectors in Ventura County, and we're not sure where we see by individual sector, whether it be specifically manufacturing or trade or any of the individual sectors where it would come from. That said, what we're bullish on believing, based on our empirical experience, as a small business development center run by Ray Bowman, sitting over there, and his key aide and co-conspirator, Alondra Gayton, sitting right behind me. We don't want to know those folks. We serve 500 to 600 firms a year. 120 of them last year were businesses that were dealing in the global economy and import or export trade. And when we look at the outcomes that we're generating through our engagement with business, a huge disproportionate share, a positively disproportionate share of those come from firms that are engaged in international trade. They're either in trade already and identifying a new market. So we've got resources that are available to work with any of your associates, your friends, your colleagues, your businesses. We're happy to work with you on that. So a couple of data points, and hopefully these weren't things that Kirk was going to hit, and then I'll get out of your way. Ventura County, currently in 2014, I should say, according to a recently released report from Brookings Institution, about $5.6 billion in export trade, just looking at the export side. That's over 31,000 jobs that are export related in Ventura County. That's about 10% of our employment base. We think that's an underestimate. Those are directly related jobs, not the indirect. So if you use a multiplier, it would be larger. To look at individual sectors, Ventura County is number 5 in the country out of 381 distinct labor markets from large to small. Number 5 in the nation in export of agricultural product, nearly $1 billion. We're number 10 in the nation in the export of pharmaceuticals at $1.25 billion. If you look at the top 20 export products or services in Ventura County, 15 of them end up in the top 50 of the United States. 5 of those end up in the top 15 or 20 in the United States. It's a massive share of concentration of economic power that is in export trade in Ventura County. That said, here's the bad news part of it. If you look at our growth rate over the last 11 years, it's averaged 4.1% a year. That lags a little bit the national percentage, but here's the scary part. Over the last 6 years, it's averaged only 1%. We are losing share. As the rest of the world is expanding or growing faster in global trade, Ventura County on a comparative basis is losing its export trade share. The port is making up for that by the numbers that were shared, not necessarily in export, but I use export as a proxy for the larger world of combined import and export trade. But we need all sorts of opportunity here. We need businesses to step forward, find ways to engage in the global economy. The port is our leader in doing that. The partners here at the table are the leaders in doing that, with Richard and Jerry in the Department of Commerce. We're thrilled to be a partner with you. We want to make sure that through events like this, we are expanding the number of firms and the volume of trade that comes in and out of Ventura County. That's our opportunity for growth in Ventura County. Thank you.
Good job.
And in spirit of what Bruce is just saying, I think World Trade Center Week isn't once a year or once a day. It's every day. Every day is World Trade Day. And we are building a collaboration with CLU and with the EDBC to bring in interns that are master's students in international trade to work with us to build a business plan for our World Trade Center license so that we can really leverage this tool that we have to focus on those statistics that Bruce just shared with us and turn it upside down so we can export into market share of the 95% of the consumers that are global. So good stuff, and we'll hopefully have something great to report on that next year when we convene. So with that, we're going to turn it over to our panelists. Mr. Ignacio Sanchez Aldana Martinez is going to represent, did I get that? Mexico for us, so come on up.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you very much for being here. I'm honored to be here with you. I'm representing from Mexico. This is the Trade and Investment Commission of Mexico, and I want to show you a video to first to see you what we do and the things that can tell you about. So please show the video.
Bienvenidos a ProMéxico. México es presencia en el mundo. Tenemos, a través de los tratados de libre comercio, acceso privilegiado a 44 países, lo que significa un mercado potencial de más de 1.200 millones de personas. México es infraestructura, 63 cruces fronterizos, 68 puertos de altura y cabotaje, 64 aeropuertos internacionales, 27.000 kilómetros de vías férreas y 372.000 kilómetros de vías terrestres. México es su gente y su fuerza demográfica. Un atractivo mercado interno con 112 millones de habitantes, con una mediana de 26 años, 47 millones forman parte de la fuerza laboral. México es una economía líder en la región y en el mundo. ¿Qué es ProMéxico? Somos la institución de gobierno mexicano que impulsa el comercio de México en el exterior y la atracción de inversión extranjera. ProMéxico impulsa la exportación y lleva productos y servicios mexicanos a cualquier parte del mundo. ProMéxico apoya y proyecta a las empresas mexicanas a la internacionalización. ProMéxico fomenta el desarrollo a través de la atracción de inversión extranjera. Los empresarios mexicanos tienen a su alcance una oficina ProMéxico que les permite desde su lugar de origen estar más cerca de sus compradores potenciales, con oficinas dentro y fuera de México. También los inversionistas extranjeros pueden llegar a todas las regiones del país, acercándose a las oficinas estratégicamente colocadas en puntos claves para el comercio en el mundo. ¿Cómo hacemos que esto suceda? A los empresarios mexicanos que quieren exportar e internacionalizarse, ProMéxico los asesora de manera personalizada para alcanzar objetivos específicos. ProMéxico los capacita de acuerdo a los procedimientos de cada una de las empresas. ProMéxico los orienta para incursionar en nuevos territorios. ProMéxico vincula a las empresas a través de enlaces empresariales e interinstitucionales. ProMéxico les facilita información estratégica para la toma de decisiones, estudios de mercado, mapas de inversión, análisis y diagnósticos. ProMéxico hace realidad los proyectos de exportación e internacionalización utilizando diferentes herramientas como incentivos, apertura de mercados o estudios. En ProMéxico también impulsamos estrategias para atraer, mantener e incrementar la inversión extranjera en México. Para ello, ayudamos a que tenga un buen aterrizaje, a reducir las barreras que por diferencias culturales y desconocimiento de los procesos pudieran ocurrir. ProMéxico es lo que tu negocio necesita para cruzar fronteras. ProMéxico comparte con el mundo las razones para invertir en México.
ProMéxico, pone el mundo en tus manos. Secretaría de Economía, Gobierno de la República.
Bienvenidos a ProMéxico. México.
Okay, well, thank you. I have a presentation. Well, I don't know if it's clear without the information that the video shows. But like you see, in ProMéxico, what we do essentially is Mexican exports here in our case, here in the United States. So we have 25 states, South California, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Hawaii. Okay, so we have 29 offices in our country and 45 offices around the world. But specifically here in the US, we have 11 offices. As I told you, we attend these states. So, well, our mission, like I told you, is to promote Mexican exports as well as the international of Mexican companies in order to contribute to Mexico's economy and social development and strengthen the country's image as a strategic business partner. We can help you find how to satisfy your needs, either if you are looking for a Mexican producer in any industry, or if you want to find for a specific manufacturing process to make the products. To do so, we have several supports and services. I would like to invite you to visit our webpage. Maybe, I don't know if you have our information, it's in the magazines. Maybe we'll give you our contact information, but you can find this information through our supports and services that we can give you to help and guide your companies to find and get what you need, such as, well, maybe an example is like a business agendas that our colleagues in our country, in our offices there in the States, we do exactly and then do whatever you need to participate in fairs and events in our country, maybe like a travel allowance, some kind of support to the American companies. And I want to talk about the key sectors in Mexico that are growing, that I think Mexico is one of the most important players. We can talk about the aerospace. Well, obviously first the food industry, like you all know that all the Mexican products here, especially in California, are growing as part of industry. But also the aerospace industry, which Mexico is the supplier to the American space industry. The electronic and electric, because Mexico is the leading flat television screen exporter in the world. About medical devices, automotive auto parts, and now recent from the energy reform, because finally the energy reform that will allow the participation of a higher number of companies, thus modernizing the sector with more productive investment and cutting-edge technologies. So this can ensure the supply of electricity and hydrocarbons at competitive prices for industry. So basically, this is the information that I can give you. I don't know, there are some companies, American companies, who want to go to Mexico to start a business there, to grow a company, to start manufacture, or find some Mexican companies that can manufacture your products. Maybe get suppliers that can satisfy your needs in any industry that you want. And also help Mexican companies to come here to the United States, establish and start growing the business about the many sectors and industries that you may need. So basically that's what from Mexico doing. I don't know if maybe we have some time for questions or doubts that you may have. We are located in the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles. So we are attending, like I told you, in South California. And we have another office in San Francisco who takes care of that kind of the part of the state, about the Silicon Valley and other kind of industry. So wherever you need, I don't know, we have another office, another person in San Diego. I'm sorry? Well, like for Mexico, no. There is, some of the consuls for economic affairs that see these matters. For Mexico, our office is in the consulate of Mexico. So, well, for me, it's all. I don't know if you have any doubts or anything. Maybe we can tackle that. So, thank you very much.
So what we're going to do is we're going to hold all questions to the end. So if you have one, you guys got pens and papers, jot it down so you don't lose a thought, and then we'll facilitate questions so we can go through when we get to that time in the program. So with that, now we're going to call up the Honorable Diego Jaramillo from Equity. Glad to have you here.
nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can say that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy.
that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. Like nowhere else, all in one place, so close. All you need is Ecuador. Ecuador is all you need.
As you may see, we are much more than bananas or mangoes. We are all you need. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here, representative to the Trade Office Commission. I would like to apologize for the absence of the Trade Office Commission, who are currently going to an internal change. The port of Hueneme is the center of operation and logistics of Ecuadorian banana brands such as Del Monte, Gold, and Chiquita. To maximize the trade relations through a joint effort between the port of Hueneme and the government of Ecuador, in Machala City, Ecuador, the authorities of Port of Hueneme and Bolivar signed the Brotherhood Agreement. To create a relationship between brother ports by means of which can promote regular exchange of mutual benefits and their surrounding communities. The two ports will share information and policies, connect to a wide variety of topics of relevance of the development of facilities, training of personnel, engineering and technical service, security, supply chains, logistics, protection of the environment, promotion of the bananas industry, promotion of trade and service between the two ports. The development of regular visits between the port to increase cooperation and participate in business forum and workshop to issues related to the affairs of the port. To define action and strategies in order to achieve tangible results. As you may see in the chart, there is a constant tendency on bananas imports from Ecuador in the last 5 years. At the end of the 2015, we can expect around 5% increase on the total amount of imports. As you may see in the graph, our main import product is banana, 94%, followed by mango. Mango, exotic fruit with interesting and aphrodisiac properties. In our country, we have many histories about this fruit. We believe that eat this fruit increase the population. I would like to speak about the bilateral trade relations. In 2012, total trade between the United States and Ecuador reached $17.15 billion. Between 2001 2012, trade grew at an average of 18% annually. Exports from the USA to Ecuador more than doubled in the last 4 years, one of the highest rates of growth in the region, 26.6%. Finally, I would like to highlight that beyond the agreement relationship between the port user and the port administration have made a donation of equipment from the fire department in LA County possible. Foundation Amigos de Loreto made a donation of fire equipment to 6 different cities in Ecuador. Thank you for your patience, and I offer you my apologies for assaulting the English language. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's really great to hear so much going on in Mexico and Ecuador, very important to our trade and success here in Ventura County. So thank you very much. So now we're going to turn it over to the distinguished Professor Kirk Lynch from CLU to talk about the economy. Please come in.
Well, thank you. Can everyone hear me? I do not want to touch this thing. So first, I want to take a few minutes to thank the port for inviting me. And I sincerely mean it. It is my suspicion that everyone in this room knows and understands how important the port of Hueneme is to the economy, and Bruce was talking about this, to the economy of Ventura County. Now, with that said, I would surmise that the average Ventura County resident has no idea how important this facility is to our local economy. And as a result, I'm very thankful to be here. In my work at CLU, I am well aware, first of all, of how important the Port of Hueneme is to our local economy, how many jobs it supports, and whatnot. So for me, I'm very thankful to be here. So with that said, I just have a few remarks regarding world trade. And I wanted to pick up on something that you said. We celebrate World Trade Week, and for whatever it's worth, I would encourage everyone in this room not to celebrate World Trade Week, but instead to understand that it is World Trade Day every day, and World Trade Day is increasing every day. Countries are becoming more linked economically. We have seen some great presentations from Mexico and Ecuador, and the trade volumes. You've shown the charts, the trade volume that's going through the Port of Hueneme. In the future, this volume will only increase. In economics, we call this comparative advantage. Some nations have a comparative advantage to produce goods and services, and we're seeing that happen as the world becomes interconnected economically. Countries that are able to produce bananas are producing more and more bananas, and sending them to places like here, where we don't necessarily have a comparative advantage in bananas. And so my point is, as a society, as the world moves forward, trade, economic activity via trade is only going to become more and more important. There are some headwinds that we all face, as I'm sure most of you in this room know. The first is restrictions, trade restrictions, whether they be tariffs, taxes, quotas, anything like that. Countries are still protective of certain industries. Even in the United States, we protect some industries. Other nations protect certain industries as well. That harms world trade. It harms economic activity. And to the extent that we can encourage local leaders not to impose restrictions, tariffs, taxes, then I would highly encourage you, all of you, to use that voice and discourage governments from restricting trade in any way, shape, or form. Secondly, we do have one of the things that I'm sure most of you are aware of is, and you showed it on your chart, trade is a direct result of economic activity. But here's the rub. It's not just the United States economic activity, it's economic activity throughout the world, right? If Europe were to have a problem or something like that, if South America were to have a problem, then trade here at the port would suffer. And I say that because one of the things I hope to get across is while trade is extremely important, some of it is outside of our control. We, in order to have a vibrant trade, other nations need to have vibrant economies as well. So it's not just the United States, right? And this is that whole idea of, I do believe that we see it in the data, we see it in the trade data, we see it politically, the world is coming together, certainly economically, and hopefully done in such a way that we can continue to keep places like the Port of Hueneme busy and all the jobs that are supported by that. And so anyway, in terms of a long-term outlook, I believe that the port, I think the good times are just getting started. I think as we move forward, as trade continues to improve, and in all these initiatives, pro-Mexico, pro-Ecuador, the Look South initiative, all these things are important to the extent that they encourage businesses to trade with one another. You were talking about the nations of the fire trucks. I mean, this is what it's all about. And to the extent that we can bring people together and exchange these ideas and find ways to move cargo from one destination to the next, I think it's going to benefit everybody. So I apologize for I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I certainly did not want to bore you with the traditional economic nonsense. So I think with that, I'm gonna turn it over, and we can ask questions later. Is that all right?
Okay, so now we're fortunate to introduce the distinguished Richard Swanson of the U.S. Department of Commerce, who is going to present the Export Achievement Award, talk to us about the U.S. Proclamation for Trade, and also give us an update on what's happening with South Initiative and the U.S. Department of Commerce. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Kristen. Once again, we're here again, and as Jess mentioned, this is also Maritime Week. And let's think about our goal next year is merge this World Trade Week with Maritime Day. Let's just do the biggest shebang ever, okay? Can we make that commitment, maybe? So, going forward, every year we like to recognize some companies, and this is really the hub, Port Hueneme in many ways. It is in Ventura County, right? So, we like to recognize companies that are in and around, and we have one today, Hardy Diagnostics. And our trade representative for the U.S. Department of Commerce is Gerald Vaughn. Gerald, yes. There you are in the back. Stand up, sir. Say hello. But I first met Jody Radford at an event we did, a regional event up in Santa Maria about a year ago. Wasn't that right, Jody? Yeah. And we actually had a great time afterwards. We had set up a wine tour at Presskill Winery. And this is a great story about some folks moving from Louisiana after the hurricane disaster, after everything, and setting up shop here and producing some of the best wine in the valley. Would you agree, Will? Yes, shake your
Been there, done that.
And what's interesting about this innovative company is that it's all gravity fed. So there's no electricity, no hydraulics. It's just from the top of the hill, the way they down to the barrel. It's just great. So we met this company. We've been working with them for a while, Jerry and I, and our overseas offices. They have done an incredible job in just being proactive and exporting. They have about 300 employees here. They also export to now about 50 countries now. How many? 80. Wow, okay, so our intelligence is over. 80 countries. 300 employees, very value-added diagnostic services for the healthcare industry, bacteria diagnosis, all that good stuff. That's a growing market in the world today. So Judy, would you mind coming up here for a minute? And could I also ask Megan Cullen, our chapter chair for our District Export Council, and Jess, would you mind coming up here for a minute? Just representing the port. And this is our Export Achievement Award, and we do this every year during World Trade Week for our community here. So, Judy, on behalf of the port, and on behalf of the U.S. Commercial Service, and on behalf of our District Export Council, we would like to present you with this year's 2015 World Trade Week Export Achievement Award.
I'm not going to touch that. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much. This is an honor, and I have the pleasure, like Richard mentioned, of working with the Northern Santa Barbara County Econ Alliance, and that's where we met. And as far as our Hardy Diagnostics goes, we're very proud. They brought me in about 2012, and at the time when we were doing, I don't know, a couple $100,000 a year in sales, and last year we were over $1 million in sales. So 40%, and just thank you so much. And my colleague who based here with me, I couldn't do it without her. I am the international sales manager, and I appreciate your
time. You know, on behalf of the Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker, I have the privilege of just saying thank you to everybody, including the trade community here. My colleague, Nick Josephson, in the hallway from me in our hub office here in Southern California, is from the Export-Import Bank, Trade Finance Division of the U.S. government, along with the Small Business Administration. We're really the export development arm. But a new area of speciality that we've adopted is this area of foreign direct investment. I know, Marianne, you and I have talked about how important that is to the port. Bruce knows this all too well. This is a new area for us, and so I guess my message this year is look out for that investment from overseas, not just from places like China, but also from Latin America. And we are in a great hub here in Southern California for the Pacific Rim. That's everything from Shanghai to Seoul to Santiago, Chile. And this is our sweet spot, I think, for this area. So if we can capitalize on this market and we can promote this market to the world, I think we engage in a lot more trade. And these smaller ports, we hear a lot about the two biggest ports in the United States. Well, we don't name us. Supposedly they cover 40% of all trade in the United States. But these are strategically located ports. I also work with the Port of San Diego too. And it is so important with this new aligning of the new ships and TEU capacity just increasing. I think the key too is to look out for the port-to-port trade. I think the interport trade within the PAC rim is going to be very key. And so hopefully we can work on that. And lastly, we have all our partners here, Ray Bowman and our District Export Council and Megan Cullen. These are our colleagues that we nominate, and the Secretary of Commerce appoints them to help us counsel you and the clients that are here in the Central Coastal area. And Megan is our chapter chair for the Central Coastal region. And so as far as we're concerned, this is the hub of the Central Coastal region. And so we just appreciate all the hospitality. We're co-located here with Will and Kristen in the port. Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. Congratulations on your commissioner this year. And we look forward to the future. And we're going to, I guess, open it up for a few Q&A now, right? All right. Thank
you. Okay. Anybody have something right off from the beginning here? I'd like to entertain a few questions. Sandy, yes.
Well, my wife's family helped build the Panama Canal, and so it's always something of interest in my new family. And I'm just curious as to the impact of the Panama Canal and what's been going on there. There have been major developments.
Good question.
But just how that impacts Port Hueneme and Hueneme.
The impact of the widening canal, let's
Right.
look at it first of all with relationships to Ecuador and to Mexico. Diego, Panama Canal.
This is a technical question for me because I am the consul. This is a technical question. The Swiss, I don't have any idea because I have to respond the official port commission.
Well, Mexico, I don't think we have a lot of movements there at the Panama Canal because between obviously the United States and many other countries down there in South America, I think we use other ways and also to bring products from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic. There's a easiest way through Mexico instead of going to Panama.
One more possible concept is, and this is, I've been hearing this a lot, is we keep thinking of the super tankers coming from China, with all the tonnage and everything. But what about everything coming the other way? What about Pan-European? What about Africa? What about the Middle East? So, embrace yourself for that too, and that will benefit all of us on this side of the Pacific. So I think it goes both ways. But we have a free trade agreement with Panama. We have our regional office of the U.S. Foreign Commercial Service there as well for Central America. It's a great hub as well. So.
I was at a conference not long ago regarding, and this question was brought up at this conference. Time is money. And I'm reading this right from a PowerPoint slide at this conference I was at. From the east coast of China, Shanghai, that area, to Chicago. It takes a container box 17 days from the time it leaves Shanghai to the time it arrives in Chicago. That is going through the ports of LA and Long Beach. This cargo is offloaded, put on the rail, and then railed out. If you decide to go through the Panama Canal and say go to New York, New Jersey, now your transportation will take 30 days. If you decide to take it through the Suez Canal, perhaps that direction will get you into the East Coast of the United States. Now we're talking 36 days to make that voyage. So there is a competitive aspect of all of this. The Panama Canal, the widening project that's going on right now, they're widening these locks to be able to handle 14,000 TEU ships. TEU is a standard 20-foot container, which we never see on the roads anymore. What we see are FEUs, 40-foot containers, twice the length. So when I tell you a 10,000 TEU ship, translate that to mean 5,000 containers that we're familiar with looking at. The locks in the canal have been widened to handle a 14,000 TEU ship. Do you recall what Kristen said at the beginning of this event today, that they were building ships now that are 21,000 TEU ships? The canal is already too small. So trade between East and West will for some time continue to go into LA Long Beach. However, they're always looking for ways to increase that trade one way or another. Keep in mind also, our trade with Latin America is a north-south trade. Our customers are not going through the Panama Canal. The only ships that call at the port of LA going through the canal are those carrying European manufactured automobiles for the American market. The Asian produced manufactured automobiles are coming from Asia, therefore no Panama Canal is involved in this. So there's a lot of moving pieces with this. It will remain competitive. Ports along the East Coast are gearing up for larger ships. They're gearing up infrastructure-wise to be able to accommodate larger ships. And it's our belief that West Coast, California ports, we're ready for the competition. Bring it on. Any other questions? Yes.
I remember it's been a couple of years since the Port of Hueneme was talking about the challenge of moving container freight. And when I hear the representative from Chiquita saying it is container freight, can somebody talk about how the port met that challenge?
How the port has met that challenge? Yes. We have two cranes that were purchased by our stevedore company here. Our initial concern when we heard that Chiquita was going to go from what we call break bulk cargo, i.e. cargo that you can visually see, pallets of bananas or other fruit on the wharf, to containerized cargo, cargo you can't necessarily see. Our concern was, gosh, we've not seen this kind of cargo come through here before. We are a niche break bulk cargo port. And it's not how we will handle it, it's how the labor here will handle it. It's how our stevedores and the longshoremen who have to handle that cargo, can they do this? We've not seen it happen before. So I don't mind saying that, yeah, there was some concern. However, the stevedores, all of them had done their homework. They knew what the expectations were, and currently, on a good day, numbers out there are not matching gantry cranes out of LA Long Beach. We're getting close, and we're getting closer every day. They're getting better at moving these containers. And the business paradigm is exactly what Chiquita thought it was going to be. I think we're meeting that expectation. We are, I say, our longshoremen, our labor that's here at the port.
Could I add something?
Absolutely.
I think you're involved with this, but the U.S. Department of Commerce has the Economic Development Administration, and that's another unit that provides grants and assistance for economic development. And I'm sure Bruce, your folks know about EDA. But a lot of it goes to ports and goes to research centers that I know of here in California and elsewhere in Hawaii. And maybe it's an effort to help with the infrastructure in general for the port facilities in general to anticipate this future trade. So
we have these visioning workshops all the time. Our commissioners are committed to predicting what the port's going to look like in 20 years, 40 years. What are we going to look like? And if you go back 20 years, nobody, I think, could have predicted what we look like today, 20 years ago. So it's hard. When you're thinking about the future, it's hard to predict. But with that in mind, I would like to ask Diego in Ecuador, can you characterize for us, what do you see in trade relations between the U.S. and Ecuador, say, in the next 10, 20 years?
It's a good question. I think that the relation between the Ecuador and the United States depends on the government. But we have a strained trade between the producer and consumer. This is the relationship that we have to control, to increase. independent of the government. Independent government in the possibility. This is the most important. This is the most important for me. The trade have to go independent to the government. It's hard. It's not possible, but for me, this is the way, the right way.
Ignacio, in Mexico, you talked about those five central areas, which was including oil or energy, electronics, automotive, auto parts, etc. Put your future cap on in 10 years. Where do you see us?
Well, as you all know, Mexico is, for Mexico, the United States is the first partner in commerce. So, well, I don't know, the numbers will increase a lot. I don't know, you will still be the first commerce partner for us. And I think Mexico is going to turn to, go up instead of China or Canada with you, because I think China and Canada, maybe another country, I don't know in which place Mexico is compared to the United States as a commerce partner. But I think the commerce will go up, because with all like these five sectors, like I told you, the key sectors, the energy reforms we are having, and automotive, many companies from all over the world are going to Mexico because of the manufacturing process.
Any other questions? Well, we'd like to, again, thank you all very much for attending this today. Obviously, the port is a very important economic engine here, for not just the county, but for the entire region. Again, 10,000 jobs plus created, just like executive used to go on at the port. As we continue to get more efficient with what we do, we'll be able to bring in more cargo. But we also anticipate and look forward to sending that cargo to the export factories area. So thank you very much for coming in.
Are we doing that tomorrow?
Oh, no. Thank you very much. I would like to remind everybody that this has all been videoed and it will be on kdytv.com tomorrow. So if you want to look at this on the internet, I can live stream the video.